can see a shadow laying in the moonlight. I can feel your heartbeat playing on my right side. Every night I long for this, making up what I miss. I can hear you breathing, letting out a sad sigh. You try so hard to hide your scars, always on your guard. Don't let me go, don't make me hold.
During the 16th and 17th centuries, when Europeans first began exploring the world, Africa was a rich continent, eager to trade her gold, copper, ivory and leather goods for the white man's pots, pans, alcohol and guns. Under African law, slavery was a punishment for serious crimes, but most of these slaves were slaves of other black Africans. It was not usual for slaves to be traded at this time. In 1492, Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas. Other Europeans followed and made slaves of the native peoples living there. However, the Europeans also took Western diseases to the Americas and their slaves began dying. Another source of slaves had to be found. From trading with the Africans, Europeans knew that slavery was used as a punishment in Africa. They began to ask for slaves rather than African goods in exchange for the guns and alcohol that the African chiefs wanted.
Don't let me go.
When the North American continent was first colonized by Europeans, the land was vast, the work was harsh, and there was a severe shortage of labor. Men and women were needed to work the land. White bond servants paying their passage across the ocean from Europe through indentured labor eased but did not solve the problem. Early in the 17th century, a Dutch ship loaded with African slaves introduced a solution and a new problem to the New World. Slaves were most economical on large farms where labor-intensive cash crops such as tobacco could be grown. By the end of the American Revolution, slavery had proven unprofitable in the North and was dying out. Even in the South, the institution was becoming less useful to farmers as tobacco prices fluctuated and began to drop. However, in 1793, Northerner Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin. This device made it possible for textile mills to use the type of cotton most easily grown in the South. Cotton replaced tobacco as the South's main cash crops, and slavery became profitable again. Although most Southerners owned no slaves at all, by 1860 the South's peculiar institution was inextricably tied to the region's economy. To the most surprise, the first slave owner in America was a black man. Anthony Johnson was a slave himself before he was released and granted 50 acres of land. Anthony Johnson was a Negro from modern-day Angola. He was brought to the U.S. to work on a tobacco farm in 1619. In 1622, he was almost killed when Powhatan Indians attacked the farm. 52 out of 57 people on the farm perished in the attack. He married a female black servant while working on the farm. When Anthony was released, he was legally recognized as a free Negro and ran a successful farm. In 1651, he held 250 acres and 5 black indentured servants. In 1654, it was time for Anthony to release John Kaiser, a black indentured servant. Instead, Anthony told Kaiser he was extending his time. Kaiser left and became employed by the free white man, Robert Parker. Anthony Johnson sued Robert Parker in the Northampton court in 1654. In 1655, the court ruled that Anthony Johnson could hold John Kaiser indefinitely. The court gave judicial sanction for blacks to own slaves of their own race. Thus, Kaiser became the first permanent slave and Johnson the first slave owner.
I can see a shadow laying in the moonlight. I can feel your heartbeat playing on my right side. Every night I long for this, making up what I miss. I can hear you breathing, letting out a sad sigh. You try so hard to hide your scars, always on your guard. Don't let me go. Don't make me hold on when you're not. Don't turn away. What can I say? So you won't. No, don't let me go. See the skyline fading in the distance. Tears are coming down, I'm trying just to make sense. I don't listen to the radio, just the engine and the road. I wonder if my words are making any difference. I dream